Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 7 of the LFG Cast. I am your host, Phantom, joined again by the wonderful Hell's Purge.
Hello.
Ooh, Hell's Purge has got some kiddos with him. He's a little loud tonight, so I'm gonna turn him down so he doesn't have to worry about that. Okay, so episode 7, we're gonna go back into gaming. If you're new to the podcast, this is your one-stop shop for everything lifting, food, and gaming related. We've done more lifting and gaming stuff than food, but we'll get into food maybe one of these days. I don't know, whatever. This episode's going to be focused on DLC, and do we think, and do you guys think, the industry is too focused on DLC? Do you think the industry pushes DLC too much? You know? And we're just gonna go off about that. This has been brought up to because Kingdom Hearts 3's DLC Remind comes out next Thursday, so a week from the recording of this. We're gonna be playing that on stream. And Super Smash Bros. Got a new fighter, another Fire Emblem character. I don't care for it. I was hoping someone cooler would get announced. I don't even know who this guy is, but excuse me. But that's what we're gonna talk about today. So Purge, what are your general thoughts on DLC? Like overall, what's your general consensus? Are you a fan, or are you not?
In a way, yes, because it gives them like a chance to add on to the story. Like if they left like some cliffhangers that they couldn't fit into the base game due to like time constraints, or like well, I guess mainly just time constraints for them trying to get the game out, like their deadlines. So it gives them a chance to go back and like wrap up those points. So I mean, to me overall, it's good if they do it right.
Okay. Do you have an example of a game that has done it right? Like, is there a game out there that you think has done a good job of giving out like good quality DLC? It earned its DLC. They didn't just unlock, you know, bits that were already in the game. Did you know, something that added on to it?
What I've played most recently, I guess the only one that I can think of would be Rage 2.
Okay.
Because in part of the main storyline, one of the, I guess you'd call them leaders, like just vanishes. And for the DLC, you go and find him. I mean, I won't like spoil it horribly. Like you go find him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I won't say how, but like you go find him, and then he helps you kind of finish the plot hole points from the main storyline.
Okay, so it's
wrap everything up.
So it's a continuation, and it's a progression of the of the campaign. So that's neat. I like that a lot. Now, do you have a game which you think didn't earn its DLC and they were just kind of giving you things that were already in the game that you should have been able to do from the start, or like quests or anything?
I can think of like, I know like there's quite a few. I can't think of them by name, but mainly it's just the point of the mechanics and stuff, or like story points they added in the DLC could have 100% been incorporated into like the main game.
Right.
And because like the DLC would have maybe taken like 10 minutes or so, not literally, but it felt like 10 minutes to complete.
Yeah.
Like one, I guess that sticks out in my mind that could have been probably chunked into the main game was for D2, like the Curse of Osiris. Like,
oh yeah.
Maybe it felt like 5-10 minutes to deal with, and that was it.
Curse of Osiris is like, it was something that I felt could have, like, I agree, it could have been part of the campaign, but it could have worked as a DLC if it wasn't so lacking. And I think that's a big problem with DLCs as a whole, is they're either really good or they're lacking in something. And then, you know, you have to question, is it worth the price point? So D2, like you said, D2 launched. Vanilla was, you know, people liked base D2 campaign. Like, they thought it was good. They thought it was an improvement. And then they, you know, the end game wasn't the best. So they were like, okay, they were like, here's an expansion pass. And they gave us, you know, Curse of Osiris and stuff. And I'm just, hold on, I'm fixing my webcam. They gave us Curse of Osiris and stuff, and Curse of Osiris wasn't, you know, it wasn't what we thought it was going to be. It was very lacking. It was very minor.
Oh yeah.
That's a problem that's a concern people have with the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC, is they feel like it's stuff that could have been fleshed out. Like, any DLC that adds cutscenes to a campaign and you have to pay for it, I'm sorry, man. That developer should have taken more time, delayed the game, and finished it. Because honestly, that's you know, that's not cool. One game I think did a and chat, don't worry, we're gonna get to your guys' questions and concerns in a hot minute. So don't worry. So hold on to your butts. One game I think did a really good job was Borderlands 2. And it's because they had all their cosmetics for like $1, right? I'm not counting, you know, cosmetics or DLC, that's fine. You know, you can argue you should be able to earn them, but that's, you know, that's besides the point. This was years ago, right? Before like loot boxes really were mainstream. And then you've got all of the big DLC packs. And I mean, let me think. Borderlands 2 had Captain Scarlet's Treasure Hunt. What else did they have? I'm trying to think. It's been so long. Sir Hammerlock and the Wildlife Preservation. That was another one. Mr. Torg's Campaign of Carnage. That was another one. And then the biggest one, which was everybody's argued favorite, was Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep. None of them felt like they should have been in the game. They all felt separate. They all felt unique. They all added to the gameplay loop of just killing monsters and getting guns. And they all just... Whoops, we're going to do this one more time. There we go. So they all just, you know, they extended the game rather than complete or, you know, finish telling a story. So I think Borderlands 2 did it really well. And then they had like mini DLCs for more cosmetic items. And then once you got the Handsome Collection, you got all of that, you know, included. So I think Borderlands 2 did it really well. People debate on like Fallout 4. Because some of the DLC for Fallout 4 should have been there. Like, I don't know if we needed Automatron as like a standalone experience. It was cool, but like the Vault Tech stuff should have been in the game, I feel, personally. So we're gonna take a quick comment from chat. This is from Praised Beast. In Pokemon Shield, I've just been doing a lot of Daymax raids since there's nothing else to do ever since I beat the game a while ago. That's got nothing to do with DLC, but thanks, Beast. Well, okay, so that's another thing. Pokemon's getting DLC. Pokemon's getting paid DLC for new legendaries and like a whole new island to explore. How do you feel about that?
I don't know, I feel like it's kind of good because then you don't get into like, because I remember back when I used to play Pokemon on like Game Boy and stuff. Like, This is going like way back, like Sapphire, like back then.
The best.
Yeah, like I felt like, I mean, I was young and not bright, but I felt like I got into, I guess, my combat routes are like my, I guess, loot routes. You could call Pokemon loot.
Your farming routes.
That just, that feels wrong, calling them
loot.
My farming rounds, that sounds better.
Yeah, you farmed for specific Pokemon.
Yeah, so like with there only being the one map back then, I felt like I just got into this rut and I just kept going in like this circle, and there wasn't really anything else that I was seeing except for like these finite areas, and like being able to add maps now with like how much technology's gone along and like DLC wise, I feel like it's kind of a good thing.
I'm gonna be honest, when I was a kid, I didn't even know like the Reggies existed. Like, to me, the legendaries in Pokemon Sapphire were Kyogre, Latios, and Latias. Because you couldn't get Rayquaza in Sapphire, and I don't think you could get Groudon either. I think you could only get Kyogre and then the two birds. So, like, when I grew up and people were like, oh yeah, the Reggies, and I'm like, the hell's a Reggie? And they're like, you never got Regirock or Registeel? And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? But yeah, I think that's cool. You know, that's my whole thing. If it expands, it can work very well. Like, you know, like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has expansions. It's an ever-growing game. And I think games as a service should be saved for a different conversation, like MMOs and Destiny. But, like, in terms of single-player games, I'm not necessarily opposed to DLC, unless it doesn't serve to progress the game and to give you more. You know?
Yeah.
But to take a step back away from that topic and focus more on the question, and this question goes out to chat, so if you guys have opinions, let us know. And if you guys at home have an opinion, please feel free to message us. Do you think the industry is moving towards a more DLC focused market where, hey, we have this game, it's finished, but there's a lot of stuff that we didn't put in that we're going to sell to you post launch, rather than, hey, this game is delayed and it has everything in it we want, and then after the fact, like, you know, a year later, they're like, by the way, we came up with this new add-on for that game. Do you think the industry's moving towards more of a, hey, here's a game, but we're gonna sell you more content at a later date?
Yeah. One example I can think of that actually happened like in the past like week. It wasn't more so we're gonna give you more stuff at a later date. It was more of, oh, here, you can have this for free now. In Jedi Fallen Order, if you pre-ordered it, you got, I think it was an orange Kyber crystal, a poncho, or like a skin for
his poncho.
I'm blanking on his name. For his poncho, or like it changed his outfit.
Mm-hmm.
You got a skin for BDS, and then a skin for the Mantis, which is the ship.
Okay.
And that was for the pre-order. Just this past week, they had said that it was part of an update, and they released all of that content that you're supposed to get for pre-ordering the game for free, so everybody got it.
So hold on. You're telling me you pre-ordered a game. Did you get the content originally?
No, I bought it 2 days after launch.
Okay. Was it one of those things where like you pre-ordered it and nobody got the stuff, or they pre-ordered it and... Wow, really?
It was supposed to be like some sort of pre-order bonus.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So, I think... Oh, I just had another great example of DLC, but I agree. I think the industry right now is moving towards a more DLC-focused market, specifically for the cash flow. But I think there are certain companies that know how to handle DLC, and there are certain companies that don't. So, like, CD Projekt Red, The Witcher 3 has so much DLC, it's insane. But here's the catch. All of their cosmetic DLC is free. You want new hairstyles for Geralt? It's free. You want new armor sets? Free. New bags for your horse? It's free. New crossbows? Free. New sword? Free. All that shit, free. And then they gave away free quests to expand the world. And then they released the 2 DLCs, which you had to pay for, which is Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, which I never played yet. I may want to go back and play that now that I have a storage drive. But it's weird to think back when you look back a decade ago at the start of DLC. They were just like stupid little extra things. Like, yeah,
it was like mainly cosmetic stuff.
Yeah, and then, you know, it was cosmetic stuff, and the games that really did expansions were the RPGs. Nobody really had an expansion. Fallout had expansions, right? You know, Fallout, I don't know, did Oblivion have expansions?
I don't think so.
Chat, if you guys know if Oblivion had expansions, please let us know. But like Fallout 3 did, right? Fallout 3 had Broken Steel, Operation Anchorage, a couple others. Then New Vegas had Dead Money, it had Broken Hearts. Then Skyrim had, what was it? Dragonborn, Hearthstone, or whatever. Those were really the only games, you know, besides the Borderlands games that I remember having big DLC. Everything else was like a map pack or a skin. It wasn't anything super major. And I don't necessarily think going back to that model would benefit or hinder the industry in any sort of way. But I feel sometimes developers take the easy way out now that DLC is so readily available and it's such a common practice. Do you agree or do you disagree?
Yeah, I feel like they have the mindset now of where, oh, this is like, we'll go like half finished. We can just send it out and then give it like a year, and then we can just add in the rest of the game and we'll just call it DLC.
Yeah, that's my big concern with DLC, and it kind of has always been that concern, is developers either get crunched for time, they don't manage their time well, or something, and then they're like, oh, BT dubs, here's the game. You play the game, and I'm not talking about bugs or anything, because that's different. That's a different topic. But you play the game, and it feels... Bethesda, BioWare, looking at you. Blizzard, looking at you. Patch 8.3 is a mess right now. People can't do the content you gave them. But that's a different topic. So the developers hand you a game. They're like, oh, here's the game, and you play it. And this was a big problem with Anthem, is you felt like something was missing. You felt like you weren't given a whole package.
Even get me started.
Right? But developer issues aside, is a lot of games feel like that now. Is you get the game and it could be good, but it's not great. And then you're like, man, I wish they did more with this. I felt like they could have done more. They could have expanded on certain plot points, and then 6 to 12 months later, hey, here's expansion 1 for, you know, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm not saying Ubisoft did this with this iteration, but I'm saying in general, that's how it feels. And a lot of people felt that way even with Destiny. And I know I said we weren't going to really talk about games as a service, but, you know, people felt like this was good, but there should be more, you know? I do think that, again, if DLC is handled properly, like, for example, people wanted the Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 3, and they weren't in there at all. No mention, no Easter egg, nothing. Oh, there was an Easter egg, but there was no Final Fantasy cameo, and that's the whole point of Kingdom Hearts, right? Is that the Final Fantasy characters have cameos. Now they're coming in the DLC. They're part of the DLC story mission. Now, whether that was planned from the get-go is another thing entirely. If they were left on the cutting room floor and they're like, oh, we can put these in here to make fans happy, that kind of sucks. But from the get-go, they're like, all right, we definitely know we want to expand this. Because again, sometimes a game could be massive, right? Like, Kingdom Hearts 3 was pretty big. So, for all we know, Nomura sat there with the team and they were like, okay, this game is already pretty big. It's already full of some stuff. We're going to leave a little plot holes because that's what we do. We're going to do DLC after the fact, and we're going to kind of push them in. What sucks about it, though, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but I have, is when there's DLC lined up, but either the development team stops supporting the game, or the DLC gets scrapped, and they just kind of leave the game in whatever state it's in. Have you experienced that at all with any game?
Yeah.
What game?
Nothing like recently. I know there was a game growing up when I was like in middle school that they had stuff slated for, like I started playing it in 6th grade and they had DLC lined up for, I think halfway through my 7th grade year. And it was spring of my 7th grade year. And one of my friends met me in the cafeteria and he's like, oh, did you hear, I don't know, I'll call it like Deadpool's Revenge, I guess. It's like, oh yeah, the developers for Deadpool Revenge, their studio got shut down, so the DLC's not coming.
And how shitty did you like feel like when you found that out?
Like pretty bad, because it was supposed to like continue the story and explain why some of the stuff happened, and now like we'll never know.
We'll never know. Yeah, that happened with Final Fantasy 15. They did the game launched, there were plot holes. The developers released a patch, like a free DLC update, and then to bridge the gap between certain events in the game, they had, and they called them episodes, and each one followed a different character. So the first one I think was episode Prompto, then the next one was episode Gladio, then the next one was episode Ignis, and then I think the last one was episode Arden, who was the villain. So that's 4 DLCs right there. They said they had 3 more slated. Episode Aria, who's the Dragoon, episode Lunafreya, and episode Noctis, which we're going to explain so much more about the characters. And Square Enix was like, yeah, we're just not going to support the game anymore. And they left the development team sitting there with all of this stuff in their hands feeling like garbage because they knew fans wanted to see more of it. So I think that's a big problem with DLC nowadays, guys. So we've been going on for quite a while. Is there anything in particular you wanted to add, or did you want to go into like a final verdict kind of discussion?
I guess I just don't understand why gaming companies feel that they can like hand out a half-baked product and then expect people to pay like another $15, $30, $60 for content that should have A, been added to the game, and B, is only gonna last like maybe a few months.
Right? Yeah, I agree. I think if, like I've said multiple times on this episode, I sound like a broken fucking record. If the developer gives us a fully complete game and they tell a story, they're like, here you go, this is what we wanted to tell. You're like, man, that was great, I want more. And then they come out with their other hand and go, if you want more, we're making DLC for it. I think that's fantastic. Expand the game. You know, sometimes you don't need a whole $60 title. Sometimes you only need a $20 title to hold somebody over or to put that last little ribbon on the present. But I don't think a lot of developers view it like that. And I think it could be a problem if developers keep using DLC almost as a crutch and as an excuse to hand out and push unfinished games. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. With that being said, that's going to do it for episode 7. Purge, do you want to let everyone know where they can find you on the internet?
For YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Mixer, Hell's Purge. There shouldn't be a space. Well, for Twitch and Mixer, there should be an underscore in between the 2 words. Other than that, for the rest of them, it should be one word. And I guess just to make sure, the profile picture should be a little dude in jeans and a hoodie covered in blood holding playing cards.
All right. So that's where you can go find Hell's Purge. Make sure you guys go follow him. You can find all my socials linked down below in the link tree. Link, I guess. I don't know. Other than that, we film the LFG Cast live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/PhantomKingX. So if you guys want to see this done live, feel free to come over there. Otherwise, if you guys did like today's episode, please be sure to click the like button, hit the subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you're listening on, or if you're watching the YouTube video, hit the like button, click the subscribe button, ding that bell so you guys get notifications when the next video goes live, and let me know in the comments or somewhere else on the internet, what do you guys think of DLC? Is it something that you're okay with? Do you think there's a problem? Do you think developers use it way too much? Other than that, I will talk to you guys next time. And in the meantime, I almost forgot my outro. Don't forget to lift, feast, game. I'll see you next time.